Rojo caracolero, nos hemos entregado todo por una cruel ausencia alguna vez. Es inútil convivir con la inocencia en alto. Está en el celuloide, colgando en mi pared. Puedo prescribir elegante cuando tomo un poquito de más. De pronto aprendemos a notar, vamos a casar. Quisiera esperar solo regresar.
On the north coast of Peru lies the city of Trujillo. At the local airport, the baggage handlers await a unique visitor. An aircraft unlike any other in the world. An aircraft that can perform miracles. It is a totally self-sufficient, fully operational flying eye hospital. The international NGO behind all this is Orbis. Now you may not have heard of them, and I know it sounds corny, but they really do like to fly below the radar. It's just the sort of people they are. They'd rather get on with the task at hand than talk too much about it. And that's where I can hopefully help. I've been invited to experience this, their 12th mission to Peru. It's my first mission, and I'm excited and a little bit nervous. My career isn't really great preparation for ophthalmic surgery. But I'm a hard-working girl, I've done my research, and if I can help shine a light on their work, well, then I'm all for it.
I'm 63 now. Look, it's so green, and this is one of the...
I've decided to bring my daughter Kaya along on this journey. She's only 13 years old, but she's pretty switched on, and we're both looking forward to this experience. To prepare ourselves, we've gone up to the mountains and seen Machu Picchu. We explored the coast and got a feel for the living and ancient cultures of Peru. Even before the Orbis plane landed, we were both already a little bit in love with Peru. There are 3 primary environments in Peru, and all of them are challenging. Along the Pacific coast are the arid deserts, then the thin air of the Andes Mountains, and in the east, the humid jungles of the Amazon. It seems wherever they choose to live, the people of Peru walk a precarious path. The landscape is undoubtedly spectacular, but it is the product of that majesty, its people, who are the real prize. As harsh and barren as the environment is, the people are dazzlingly colorful. It's the changing of the seasons, and springtime brings the people out in a festive mood. On any day of the year, somewhere in Peru there's a festival, which showcases that palette of color. This one is a celebration of mothers. In the remote highland town of Atusco, the mothers are dressed as beauty queens and paraded around the city. The bands and supporters sing their praises. What a beautiful idea. A parade of mothers for all we do. And in this town, in one house, there is a very special mother and daughter. This is Camilla. As her eyes struggle to focus on the passing parade, her mother Anna is worried.
No sé, que cuando él llega a tierra se caía mucho casco y acá se golpeaba. Y seguro de porque a los 2 años ya ha parecido así. Pues de chiquita, bebita no era así. Ahorita me llamó el doctor que vaya a 7:30 de la mañana del lunes para ver, porque ahí dice que 27 niños y 10 nada más van a ser elegidos. Por eso me he dicho bien muy temprano para ver si lo eligen o no.
The glasses are a temporary fix. Her condition is known as strabismus, the inability of the eyes to lock together as one. It affects her vision in many ways, but most importantly, it affects her depth perception. Living in a place like Atusco, with its steep paths and dangerous cliffs, good vision is critical. If left untreated, then her condition will get much worse. Camilla and her mother will wind their way down the coast out of the mountains by bus and pray that she is one of the lucky ones chosen for surgery. It will be a long and tiring journey for them, and they are given no guarantees.
Nos vamos a Barranco a tantearle la suerte. Las caras que sueltan sonrisas me fitan. Señor caballero de Lima, que ahora reside en Argentina, y cual José Antonio se acerca con una sonrisa de esquina a esquina. Nadie puede resistir la vieja y la luna es más fuerte allá.
Since 1982, Orbis has visited 92 countries, trained 325,000 eye care professionals, and provided 23 million treatments to blind and visually impaired people. All of their missions begin the same way, with a deep breath and a leap of faith. Dr. Frederick is a surgeon and professor of ophthalmology at Stanford. He's a volunteer, as well as Spanish, the national language of Peru. He also speaks Russian and Vietnamese. He also happens to be a really, really nice guy. Screening days can be intense. Quick decisions have to be made that will profoundly affect the future of each person's life. 5-year-old Diana's mother hopes she will be chosen for surgery.
Okay, so this young girl, her eyes began to cross when she was 3 months old. Mira Dora, para aquí. She still uses this eye because it's not amblyopic. For sure, she needs surgery to have any chance of fusion. I think she's a good candidate. So what possible surgery would we recommend?
I don't know if I think both eyes.
Okay.
Lateral breakers, maybe one eye.
Okay.
Immediately both eyes.
Okay.
Maybe.
Yeah. Or the inferior oblique overaction.
Maybe transposition.
Yeah, you can do a transposition like the other one, right? But it's a lot of surgery, you know? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, so I think we have a plan for her. Maybe we do her here, just because it's a long operation, longer. Since we only have 2 on the plane, let's do her tomorrow.
As well as hindering their vision, strabismus sufferers are often treated as less intelligent, teased, and ostracized. Dr. Frederick explains the benefit of treating blindness to the wider community.
Vision should be a sacrosanct right that every patient should have. Every individual should be able to see. But if you look at from the cold hard facts of economics and pragmatism, there's a limited amount of resources to take care of health problems, whether they be ocular or cardiac, pulmonary, what have you. I think that when you look at the value that you're adding, not just to the quality of their life, but being able for a patient now to take care of themselves, take care of their family members, take care of other loved ones. The investment of resources into restoring vision is going to prove to be one of the greatest values that we as a world can invest in determining where healthcare dollars should go. When we make people see better, it'll be less than a drag on their economy. Economies will get better, and that's been actually clearly shown. I'm lucky to work at the Graduate School of Business at Stanford, where they've clearly shown that if you give kids glasses, the economy of that city improves over a 3-year time period. Something that seems like a no-brainer. Think about what the difference will be when you not just give kids glasses, but you take away blindness from large percentage of the population, where you have dependent individuals who can't care for themselves or others.
There are only a limited number of spaces available, and Camilla is still waiting outside. There are many other little girls and boys with a similar condition. Luckily, though, she's already made a friend. This is Francesca, 1 year older and also hoping for an operation. While Dr. Frederick does his best to entertain his little patients, Dr. James Lehman examines elderly patients blinded by cataracts. Peru has an unusually high incidence of blindness in people over 50 years of age, due mainly to the increased UV levels found in the high altitudes of the Andes. Being elderly and blind in a bustling city or in a high mountain village must be both frightening and life-threatening. It's incredible to think that 80% of impaired vision is either preventable or easily fixed. This is Hortensia. She has cataracts. Her husband's sight is even worse than hers. Blindness affects so much more than the sight of the individual. The blind become a burden on the family. They can no longer work or contribute an income. When one person is blind, the whole family suffers. In the case of cataracts, the surgery is relatively easy to perform and has life-changing benefits for the entire community.
800 in the right eye and 2100 in the left eye, so pretty terrible vision. So she wears thick glasses because as her cataracts have gotten worse, it makes her more and more nearsighted. Okay, señora, ¿usted tiene cuántos años? 72. Okay, 72. She's 72 years old. ¿Por qué ha esperado bastante?
Que me decía muy caro la operación y yo no podía. Entonces, como ya la vista comenzó a fallar,
so she put up with it because it was expensive, and it finally got to the point where she just doesn't want it. She says it definitely needs to be fixed. Oh, okay. Camila, mire, ¿qué es eso? ¿Qué nombre es ese?
And finally, it's Camilla's turn to be assessed.
En su amiga, mira mariposa, mira. So, not much deviation, yeah. But up close, mira para aquí, she does have deviation. Mira mariposa, mira. That's good, man. So she's measuring about 15. At first she was measuring less, so first you want to make sure that her refraction is correct, because this is a year old about. That means I'll bet you that she has more high proper correction. So let's do this. Let's give her some drops today. Have her come back. So she's on the way. There you go. Hold stick. Okay. You're welcome. Okay.
To better diagnose Camilla, Dr. Frederick asked the nurses to administer special eye drops, which will dilate her pupils. He needs to be sure that whoever he puts forth for an operation is the best possible candidate.
Sometimes the mission is a little complicated to figure out who the best patient is. If they see well in one eye and they don't see well in the other eye, It's better if they don't see well in both eyes, because then you're really helping their quality of life. You see, for example, this lady, she does not see well in either eye. That's why she's a good candidate. You also don't want to just pick the hardest cases, because you're training folks. If they're just beginning, they don't want to have the hardest cases. Let's just wait and see. Put him on hold about whether or not we'll do him. So we'll see some others. So he's on standby. Yeah, let me stand by. Okay. Doing cataract surgery on him is worthwhile, but he won't have quite the improvement in his quality of life and vision that somebody else would. So it's one of those decisions you kind of have to weigh the pros and cons. So he'll have surgery here later, but we're going to probably pass on him. He's not the greatest teaching case, and plus that question of improving the vision.
Abre. Ya no compras nada.
Abre. Muy bien. Abre el otro ojito, a ver.
Abre, hija.
Abre el ojito. Muy bien. Mírame el ojito. No, porque si no vas a limpiar. Eso no hace nada.
For some patients, the journey has been worth it. For others, the IRO will have to get to their children later. And in some cases, treatment may not be necessary.
It's a pretty big deviation. And here, again, she's trying to accommodate. She can't, but she can still converge just fine. Mira para aquí. Mira para aquí. Okay. So this is one of those situations where without the glasses she's really cross. So with the glasses she's a lot better. So if you were to do a procedure, the goal of the procedure would be to try and get her to a point where she could fuse, right? Because right now with 15 diopters she can't have any fusion. So what do you think we should do? Do the surgery, okay? Good. Okay. Is this something Mom wants?
¿Usted quiere la cirugía para la niña? ¿Usted quiere cirugía para la niña? ¿Sí? Sí.
Here's one more sticker. She's on the sleeve. ¿Le gusta Diego? Yeah. We're going to fix that afterwards. Yeah. Okay.
Camilla has made the list. It's great news. She will be getting surgery on both of her eyes.
Sus calzones.
Back at the airport, the plane is ready for passengers.
The stairs are a little steep because we've had a attach up here. They don't have an airplane this big. This is the biggest airplane that's ever been here.
Now, it may look like a regular passenger jet from the outside, but on the inside, it's a total hospital makeover. It contains a 48-seat classroom, an audio-visual room, the laser treatment room, operating theater, sub-sterile room, and recovery beds for pre- and post-op patients.
It was a commercial for 20 years, and then when we got it in 1993...
In the theater, an operation is underway.
There's something, again, unique about this facility here.
Okay, that's where they're actually doing the surgery.
Exactly right. This is OR now. What he's doing is outside the eye itself, outside the eyeball, but despite this, we can still take the video and transmit to the classroom. That's because we have cameras fixed to the ceiling here.
Students in the front of the plane can watch the operation as it happens. They can take notes. They can even ask the surgeon questions while they operate.
It is a training institute. In order to show the best practice, you have to have your own facility where you work as a team to show the standards. Because yes, you can do a program in a hospital, but you are not in control of many factors. Here, it is our hospital. We have our own team, and we can show what it takes to deliver the best care. And that's a self-contained, state-of-the-art facility. The idea started a group of ophthalmologists who were really interested in teaching doctors in other countries how to deliver the best practice and how to deliver quality eye care to their people. It is difficult to get people to travel to have their training in countries like the States or the UK, where you need a visa, you need credentials, you need a license to practice. The idea was actually to get the trainer to go to the trainees in their own hospital, in their own environment, with their own patient, with their own resources, and do the training in their own hospital. And I think this is a very good idea for two reasons. First, to overcome all the challenges I mentioned before about getting them to travel, but also it is very specific to where they work. So we are realistic and it is more sustainable that way.
Oh, 3 little girls and 3 little bears. Overnight, the patients are instructed not to eat anything. For this reason, the kids are first up at the IRO.
And what about this one? ¿Y el de aquí quién es? ¿Te acuerdas? We call him Goofy. Goofy.
The little girls chosen from screening day are bouncing around in the waiting room. This is the moment my daughter Kaya has been waiting for.
Derecha.
There are 4 little pink girls in total. The first girl, Diana, is already in surgery. Her mother is understandably distraught, and Orbis staff do their best to comfort her.
Quiero decir que es normal, pero usted no puede ayudar a nosotros.
The teddy bear is an Orbis tradition all over the world. It seems to work just as well for the moms as for the patients.
The mommies are a little more nervous than the babies, but they seem pretty relaxed, which is good.
A hospital with all its strange noises, machines, and masked people is an intimidating place, even more so if you're not from a modern city. These parents are putting everything they have into the hands of the doctors and nurses. And I am too, in a way. I'm about to witness my very first eye surgery.
Okay, let's do it.
I'll go scrub up.
Let's rock and roll.
I've never watched an operation before, and I really never thought I would. Once I get over the initial shock, and with a bit of explanation about what the surgeons are actually doing, it is pretty incredible.
The muscle is suspended on the suture. You see like a man hanging from a trapeze. And what we're going to do is we're going to suture it back, reposition it further back on the eye so it can't tug the eye in as much. Because there's another muscle over here that pulls the eye out. So this just rebalances the alignment of the eye.
So when you reattach it, you are stitching it to the actual eyeball.
Perfecto.
Wow.
So he does partial thickness through the wall of the eye to reattach it back. Yeah.
You're doing good.
I am. I don't feel busy.
Perfect. Good. So Manuel has beautiful technique. And this is, again, just knowing really what to do, a few little hints, so when I leave, I know that these children are going to be in good hands. Well, that's true.
One reason Orbis also does surgeries at local hospitals is to train their residents with the tools they have at hand. It's no use working with instruments and machines that disappear once the mission is over.
Perfect is the enemy of good. You want to do surgery safe and well, but you don't want perfection, because perfection, the longer that you kind of fiddle with something during surgery, the higher chance of having a problem. It is more difficult to operate in another country. You don't realize that the operating room is different, the instruments are different. So you do what you do at home, you try to do it as well as you do here. You go slowly, methodically, teach the folks as much as you can teach them, but you don't try to change everything. For example, you work with the instruments that they have. You use everything that they have so that they can continue to do it when you're gone. It may not be perfect, but if you're too much a perfectionist, you probably wouldn't want to do stuff in the developing world.
Orbis has a saying, and it is apparent in everything they do. We are not here to show off. We are here to show how.
The measure now, yeah. You can just cut. The doctors in any country are the same as doctors everywhere around the world. We all want to, minimize the burden of disease, and it's just a matter of trying to be resourceful. Use the other way, turn it over. Yeah, perfect. Strabismus or crossed eyes, although it often doesn't lead to vision impairment, it's a debilitating condition.
Oh, yeah.
Imagine as a child growing
Well,
up.
anybody, because it's such a social thing where you look someone in the eye, and I think if people don't know where to look, then
Yeah. It's a huge stigma. They can't get jobs. People think that their intelligence is not as great. Well, half the blindness in the world is pediatric blindness. So teaching the doctors here to fix this early, it's really valuable. It's going to give people years of productive vision, productive living, and not have to be dependent.
like at this age, did she even understand that her eyes were different? Like, is she excited to be having the surgery? Does she know that?
Yeah, no.
Like, has she gotten teased yet?
She doesn't get teased. So kids are nice until around the age of 7, and that's when kids get mean. One of the challenges of working with children is the children really could care less about their conditions. The parents care deeply. So you know that what you're doing is really making an investment. The kids eventually understand why you did what you did, and they're very happy for it. The parents know right away. Like all pediatric specialties, you know, you're treating the parent as well as the child. That's good. That's perfecto. It's bien. Beautiful. Okay. Good.
Would you like me to, you know, dab your brow? And just as I'm feeling confident, I start feeling a bit weak in the knees. I'm going to step out for 1 minute just so I don't get a little... So yeah, I'm fine. I just need a little... I am still a rookie. Well, I think what's incredible also is how they just kind of manhandle tissue, like that way he's like hooking the worm out, or you know. I mean, they had that thing that looked like a dental tool. I get a second wind, and I really want to see the end of Diana's surgery. So we're just feeling a little queasy for a minute.
Yeah, that's normal.
Is this the same muscle that you're just now finishing up? Oh, this is a new one.
So this is the last one. So we're in the home stretch here. This is the outer one that pulls the eye out. So in order to make it stronger, we cut a piece of it out. So it's like taking a rubber band and shortening the rubber band. You know, if you shorten the rubber band, it's going to be harder to stretch it out, so it's going to have more force.
The surgery takes about 3 hours. 5 muscles have been adjusted in all. There's very little rest for the staff. As Diana is taken into recovery, Camilla is prepared for her surgery. Our little patients have been fasting since yesterday. Some of the staff have developed some unique ways to keep their minds off food.
She seems to be a natural with
I know. Well, probably when the fourth was in there, they probably all looked the same. They're so sweet. Kaya has just loved spending time with the girls. And I really feel for the mothers. It's so tough watching your child in pain. The doctors have told me that tomorrow these girls will see the world in a whole new way. I can't really believe it. I guess I'll have to see for myself. This is Hortensia?
This is Hortensia, yeah. She's going to be the last surgery of the day.
Buenos dias. Hi, nice to see you. Hi, how are you? I heard
Sobrina.
her niece. Oh, okay.
Que me están haciendo el reportaje en mi vista, para que mejore eso, es lo que más quiero.
I've been able to watch some of the work they do, and it's just incredible.
¿Qué ha visto antes?
You're in good hands.
Que usted está en buenas manos.
Yo en buenas manos he visto que muy buenos doctores que me han entrevistado el lunes que yo he venido a la entrevista.
She says she's had a good feeling since the screening day that she felt comfortable.
Sí,
So.
muy bueno. Para que yo dije, ay, gracias a Dios que ojalá se quedan.
Well, good luck. Buen suerte.
Buena suerte.
Hi. I still can't get over the fact that many of the staff are volunteers. What motivates them to spend their holidays doing the same thing they do back home? Why is it so different?
Most of us want to do it because we realize that it's gratifying, fulfilling work that's serving a greater goal of helping somebody with a condition make them feel better, restore their potential. And that's what every single one of us wants to do when we go to medical school. And you go through medical school, which is 4 years, and then you go through residency training, which is anywhere from 4 to 10 more years. And then you get out and you get involved in private practice. And then the pressures of being not just a physician, but someone's partner, a father, or a mother, a business person. All these pressures are added on, and you can sometimes forget what motivated you in the first place. And when you come on an Orbis trip, your only job is to try and make people feel better and help other people learn how to make them feel better. It's invigorating and restorative.
In the waiting room, it is Hortensia's turn for her operation. It might be a big day for her in terms of undergoing surgery, but take into account she's never even been on a plane before. Compared to the complexity of strabismus cases, cataract surgery has been refined to a relatively simple 15-minute operation.
The front of the eye, it is clear. It's exactly like the glass of my watch, right? Behind it we have the iris, and then comes the lens. Lens is still clear. It has to be clear for us to see it, because the light is coming all the way across from here to the back of the eye. Cataract happens when this part, which is crystal clear, becoming cloudy, white. And that's when the patient stops to see with the eye, and we have to remove it. We go through a small hole here, and we open this lens, we suck the contents out, and we put a new lens in the eye.
And then right away they can see.
Right away. 6/6 vision. Yes.
While Hortensia is in surgery, Kaya and I are given a crash course in surgical technique.
Oh, you're blind. Okay, I would blind somebody.
Yeah, go a little bit deeper. Exactly. Excellent.
Good, Kai.
Done. You got it?
Good, look at you.
Just
Yep.
the tights.
Holding it like you pen. All movements coming from your wrist.
Okay.
This task is just about how you control your depth inside the eye without touching other structures that you're not interested in. When you complete this task, you will be able to tell where exactly in the eye you want to be, where is the depth, and what to touch and what not to touch. This is a step to prepare you to go for actual cataract surgery. Well done. That's all.
Thankfully for the patients, our journey into surgery stops there. And for the time being at least, so does Hortensia's.
Mujer, señorita, que quiere tener la piel.
The following day, patients return to the IRO for checkups. Our little girls have removed their patches overnight.
¿Qué es el nombre de esa princesa?
Sofía.
For some, recovery is very quick.
Mira la luz. It's mucho más fuerte. You can see the light reflex? It's nice. Nice. You see how the light is shining in their eyes? Do you see how the light is in the middle of both eyes?
Yes.
Before, it was way turned in. So in other words, if you look at my eyes, see how it's crossed and see how the light is in the middle?
Yeah.
So when we teach parents how to look for cross eyes, that's an easy way to do it. Her alignment is excellent. Oh, yeah. We can see that there's a little bit of redness on the inside. That's where we're working on.
Right,
That's that filmy material.
Right.
And that will heal up. Within a week, it'll be almost white again.
Camilla has bounced right back to her cheeky self.
I did one side, and our trainee did the other side again, and so both eyes are straight. The chance of her needing another operation is very low, and the chance of her not needing glasses when she's 8, 9, 10, she'll have grown out her glasses by then.
It's great. A distant memory. Sitting and watching someone recover their sight is astounding. Something so simple that we all take for granted. This 13-year-old became so blind that he stopped going to school.
My very first Orbis mission was to Burma, and our job was to teach pediatric cataracts. Cataracts can occur in children. And there was a patient there. In the old days, we had not just numbers, but people would get nicknames, and he always came in green pajamas, so we called him Green Pants. He had cataract in both eyes, and so we had to do surgery on both eyes. And the surgery went well, and I was lucky enough to go back to Burma the next year on the second Orbis trip. The father brought the boy back, and he was seen. He was now about 2 years old. He was running around playing with toys and other kids just like any other kid. The father had carved this wood carving of a hand holding an eye, and he said, I want you to have this because your hands help my child see, and I want you to remember us. And it says on the back, from Green Pants. So I remember that. I think how, even though I only helped one individual on that day, it changed that little boy's life, that family's life. When you have an opportunity for that to happen in your life, you can't help but be permanently affected. So even though I've changed jobs, I've taught at lots of places, Stanford, UCSF, and Dartmouth. Who knows where I'll be in another 5 years, but I know that I'll always be coming back to Orbis.
Francesca is resisting Dr. Frederick's efforts to check the results of the operation.
Muy breve, okay? Mucho. Here, mira ese. Ese tal que viene. Un poquito. Sofía, sí. Despacito. Solamente un poquito. No duele, okay? Bueno, sí. So the goop kind of wells the eyes shut, and so that's one of the reasons we do the hard time working. Bueno, perfecto. Maybe a tissue. No duele. Oh, perfecto. Papel. Sí, bueno. Okay. ¿Es más fácil abrir sus ojos ahora? No, intente. Por mí. Tiene dos. Oh, ayuda, poquito, ¿ok? Es ok. Solamente no más, ¿ok? ¿Entiende?
Solo para que vean las figuras que...
Gracias por usted, por la California. Bueno, bueno, mi amor, y poquito. Sí, no duele. Bueno, mira la luz. Good girl. Muy linda, poquito más, ¿ok? Mira la luz. Mira la luz. So you see again, look at the white reflex. You see it centered within both eyes. And before, she's good. So we always check and make sure that she sleeps okay and that she's eating.
Now I know why these guys do it for free.
Pasión era ser el eco
joy in people's faces, the sheer relief of the parents as they walk towards an entirely different future is, pardon my American, totally awesome. Back in the village of Otusco, high in the mountains, Camilla is home again. Clearly, her depth perception is in full working order as she uses the beds as trampolines.
Está bien. Es una oportunidad que tenemos nosotros para poder ver a la niña. ¿Y tú cómo quedó? Clásico. A ver tu poquito, Camila. ¡Wow! Te va a dar un muñeco. Te va a dar un oso. ¿Están bonitos? Sí. Más bonito. Nunca supo conocer. Sí, te queda muy bien.
On the day of her return, there is another festival. When we first met Camilla, it was the Festival of the Mothers. And now, incredibly, it is the Festival of the Children. And it might even be more spectacular and more colorful than the Mothers Festival, if that's even possible. Well, I was invited to come and visit firsthand the Orbis Flying High Hospital, and I've got to do a lot of amazing things over the years, but honestly, I think this trip and this experience is definitely the highlight. You know, the plane is cool and it's impressive, but it's almost symbolic. I think the real work is the community outreach, and they're just traveling around the world, helping people, and not just helping people and then leaving, but really committing to the communities where they're doing the work and teaching and leaving something behind.
Like the appendix of the eye, right? Inferior oblique. You can live without it.
I'm going to put you in your place. It is an explosion for the sense we perhaps hold most valuable, our own window on the world, now open again for so many people who had perhaps silently drawn the curtains and resigned themselves to a life in the shadows. But it is more than sight that has been recovered for these patients and their families.
Think about wherever you go, there's a rainbow. Wherever I stand, there's a cloud. Distant stare as we both stand with our precision.
Dr. Frederick did a good job teaching us. I think that we're gonna help more people.
Through their work, Orbis has rebalanced the playing field, even the equation, and given these children fresh opportunities to take on the challenge of life. To grow, to learn new things, find passions, find a job, and even find a partner. It's what we all want for our children. I know it's what I want for Kaya. A chance to shine, a chance to blossom. In Africa, Asia, the Middle East, and here in Peru, the hospital in the sky transforms the lives of all those who come on board. Even Kaya and I are not the same. The volunteers, the staff, and the patients have reminded us that our lives are not measured by what we accumulate.